thanks for coming over.
No, we appreciate it very much, and obviously a pretty momentous occasion, and that is the third-year anniversary of the Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission decision.
I thought you were talking about the Obama inauguration.
Well, we've got that coming up too, obviously, but for you, third-year anniversary, is this a milestone that you're marking anyway? Do you get the champagne out? What exactly is you're thinking institutionally that here we are 3 years removed from it, and obviously we've had an incredible presidential election cycle that we just had, and obviously a whole lot going on that was directly affected by this.
My wedding anniversary is the day before our victory, so I can't celebrate it more than I do my wedding anniversary the day before, so my wife would not appreciate that. So we do, look, we're grateful. We're grateful to have had the opportunity to fight that battle, and we're grateful to have won. The left attacked our decision, it's a 5-4 narrow victory, and 5-4 decisions aren't valid. And they did that consistently and up until the health care, Obamacare won 5-4, and then we don't really hear that much anymore. So the left is always going to hate free speech. They always have. That's what this case is about. And so it's not about money in politics. It wasn't about anything other than the First Amendment and about the ability for your average person to be able to speak in the public forum and be able to participate in the political process. The little guy, not multinational corporations.
Looking back to the 2012 election, who would you consider to be, I suppose, the big winners, given what you just said about the little guy in the context of so many organizations spending incredible amounts of money, of course.
Well, and we were one of them. I mean, and we have a $50 average gift here. I mean, Citizens United spent, a lot of money during 2012, millions of dollars. Not as much as I wish I had to be able to spend, but a lot of money. And we have a $50 average gift. That's the beauty of what we've built. Other people build their organizations around big gifts. And so, they're successful at what they do. We're successful because we have hundreds of thousands of members who donate $25 and $50 each. And they do that once or twice a year, and we're able to really build an organization. We have a very large conservative PAC. Our average gift is $14 to our political action committee, not $2,000, not the max of $2,500. It's $14. And today, right now, we have over $1 million cash on hand, and it's because of these little donors. And it's the definition of a PAC. It's people pooling their smaller resources together to have a large impact, and that's the definition of what Citizens United has done over the years. Yes, people argue, whether or not big corporations were able to participate at a greater level, but I'm grateful that we were able to participate, that others were able to participate in the process.
Given what you knew back in January of 2010, has it surprised you at all that there has been the advent of super PACs and very politically active nonprofit organizations? Take me through the 3 past years. Has it surprised you at all, and how has it surprised you the way that things have shaped up in the 3 years after the decision finally came down?
I'm not surprised. I'm only my only real belief is that we should have been able to raise more money ourselves. You always, as the boss, you always want to be able to do more, and having resources allows you to do that. Look, I look back and I say, well, 2012 they spent $2 billion. $2 billion, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Basically, each side spent about $1 billion between the campaigns and the party committees and the outside groups. Roughly $1 billion each, and that's a lot. But if you put it in perspective, if you look at Coca-Cola, if you look at McDonald's and what they spend in a year, just marketing hamburgers and Coke, I believe in in 2011, their budgets combined were over $5 billion annually to market hamburgers and Cokes. And we spent $2 billion, less than half of that, on the leader of the free world. I actually don't have a problem with equating large sums of money on a very important job. And so, I wasn't somebody who supported Barack Obama. He won. If Citizens United hadn't happened, he would have been, Mitt Romney would have been vastly outspent by Barack Obama. I think the evidence shows that he would have been vastly outspent by Barack Obama, just like Barack Obama outspent John McCain in 2008. I think the Citizens United case helps level the playing field. The Democrats hate it because they think that it benefits us. I think it benefits everybody equally. There's rich people, the left has their billionaires in Hollywood and in New York and around the country that they get money from. We don't have a monopoly on rich folks who want to participate. There's plenty on both sides of the aisle.
But during 2012, we saw plenty of Democratic organizations, including the president himself, saying that he effectively gave his blessing for people to donate to super PACs. Do you think in a way that the Democrats have embraced the principles of the Citizens United decision as of late? And if so, how is that going to play into the future over the next election cycle, 2014,
Sure.
and of course 2016, when we have another presidential election?
Is Barack Obama a hypocrite? Absolutely. Is he somebody who for years derided the Citizens United decision, attacked the United States Supreme Court unfairly, and in fact lied about the actual decision during his during his State of the Union address? But neither here nor there, he understood he had to use the rules, play by the rules. You don't, in any campaign, allow the other team to play by the rules, and you tie your hands behind your back. I mean, the president at a certain point embraced the super PACs, embraced the outside groups. Some of his former top staffers were the leaders of those organizations. He ended up instructing people to give money to those super PACs. Those super PACs then did the negative campaigning. Bill Maher, the ultimate, Hollywood leftist hypocrite, derides the Citizens United decision at every turn, and then turns around and becomes $1 million donor to the very super PAC that he says he hates. So, I don't have any problem with them fully participating using the rules, because guess what? The rules are set up, both sides have to abide by them. And so sometimes when you don't like the rules, you take them to court if you think they're unconstitutional, and that's what I did. I felt that McCain-Feingold was a violation of the First Amendment. It actually criminalized political speech. It actually crossed the Rubicon from civil to criminal, meaning if you make an error in your disclosure, or you make an error in any aspect of your campaign operation, you could go to jail. That is a remarkable thing, and I think it is truly frightens people, and that's really why I look at remedies that they talk about, and I get very nervous.
Has President Obama actually, whether consciously or not, helped the cause, helped Citizens United in the sense that, your words not mine, but that he's somebody who, by virtue of going ahead and using the tools that had been given to him, gone forward? Bottom line, do you think that he has, in action, helped the cause?
Sure. First, he made Citizens United a household word. I mean, you virtually can't find anybody who doesn't know what Citizens United, the Supreme Court case is. Now, there's a difference between them understanding that or hearing about that and knowing what it is, but that's part of branding and marketing, is really having everybody hear the name Citizens United. So I'm grateful every single day because he has really made us even a bigger and more influential entity than we were before that. And then to go to your question, absolutely, he has justified. He has, really given the credibility, the stamp, the good housekeeping stamp of approval on super PACs and on outside groups participating, and by his very actions, by his super PACs actions, by his ability and desire to raise money for them. And I think that will resonate in 2014. It will once again in the presidentials in 2016. Look, again, I believe that more speech is good. I believe that the answer to speech you don't like is more speech, not regulating the speech you disagree with. That's what they do in other countries. Here in the United States, we think that we have the rights to just have these great debates when in reality Congress has made rules and regulations, and the FEC really comes down hard on you if you do something wrong. So it's tough for your average person without a battery of lawyers and accountants to enter the political space in this country, still to this day, and our victory helps that.
Well, of course, you would hear, and you've heard it plenty of times, a lot of the little people out there, middle America, will say, well, I actually feel disenfranchised by the situation. I see all these big groups, big dollar super PACs spending, in some cases, millions or tens of millions of dollars. I don't have the resources to play at that level. This is a bad decision because of that very fact. What do you say to people like that who just simply feel as if they're more cut out of the political process than they are enfranchised by the political process?
The humor in that question to me is, that's us. I mean, our $14 average gift to our PAC is the definition of small donors. You can't get much smaller than that. I mean, it is true. So we utilize and maximize our efforts, and so we pool our donors, whether it's a $14 contribution average gift to our PAC or our $50 average gift to our C4, and we make the most of it, and we do the best that we possibly can. And you have to give to organizations as a donor. You have to give to organizations that you feel are going to really, you have to be a good steward of your own gifts. And so you have to give to, whether it's groups on the left or on the right, whether it's donors on either side of the aisle, you hope that those folks will give to organizations they feel are going to do the best job with their gift, no matter what size it is. Some, big money folks on both sides of the aisle have the opportunity to not only give a big gift, but to set up an organization to give a big gift too. I mean, those are the rarities in this, in these instances. It does happen, but look, I'm all for groups on the left and on the right utilizing these rules to the fullest extent possible. I'm a believer in free speech. I believe that if there's a good debate, if there's a good argument, that our side, based in the Constitution, based on the principles that we believe in, will win the day. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose in this business. But I believe no matter whether we get outspent or outspend the opposition, our values, our beliefs win the day. And so we have a storied history of winning lots of battles, whether they're elections or legislative or what have you. But you don't win them all.
We had a reader write in recently with a question that actually speaks to the very point that you just made, and the essence of her question is, how does anonymity jibe with free speech? How does anonymity jibe with the ability to donate politically? What's your take on the 2012 cycle, of course, but also going forward when it comes to organizations that are spending very large sums of money, unlimited sums of money in some cases? Nonprofit groups, though, don't have to disclose who their donors are. Is this a good thing, a bad thing, healthy, unhealthy?
It's a great thing. Yeah. And it's not just me. It's our founding fathers. I mean, back then, putting your name and associating your name with participation in the revolution, okay, back to when, to our founding fathers' days. You know, there were many of our founding fathers that did things without their names on it because they were afraid of retribution, whether it was political, whether it was physical violence upon them, whether it was business they would lose, but whatever the reasons were. And they found it to be a very healthy tool at their disposal to be able to do things, you know, totally anonymously. And some of our greatest work was written anonymously. So I think that I think that still holds today. And truly in this day and age where retribution from a political standpoint or a business standpoint is so much easier to get involved in if you are for or against somebody. You have online, you know, you have the Twitter universe and Facebook and all these things that can blast out somebody's name who did something, who happens to be a CEO of a company and gave personally to some, and you see it happen all the time. That, oh my gosh, Bill Maher gave to President Obama, boycott his show. That has an impact on him. I'm not somebody who believes in that kind of thing, but those are things that happen when you put your name out. And what if Bill Maher lost his show based on that? I don't think that that's the right thing to do. You know, I think there's right and wrong in that. But I'm a believer that anonymity is a fine thing. Some people choose it. Some people choose to disclose their name even though they're not required to. But that's personal choice, and so we believe in that.
The idea, and I suppose the specter of foreign contributions came up in the 2012 election. How concerned are you that foreign entities, that people who might not be able to legally donate to nonprofit groups are actually fueling organizations? This could be on the right, the left, it doesn't really matter, but is that a concern at all along the lines of anonymous political donations?
Well, first of all, having been the former chief investigator for the United States Congress's investigation into foreign money in the 90s, we saw that Bill Clinton and the DNC took money from foreign governments, foreign officials, foreign entities, foreign businesses, illegally. And many people ended up paying large prices for those violations. They got away with a lot as well. The FEC handed them huge fines, but years later. So the Democrats have done it historically. Democratic presidents, Bill Clinton, did it. But the reason they got caught was that it was against the law. It was against the law before the Citizens United case that foreign individuals and entities and companies could participate in the political process, and it is still illegal post the Citizens United case. You get down into the weeds where a certain few companies that have foreign operations, that have large operations here in the United States, participate? I think there are a few. It is not a large number. They have to meet certain requirements, I believe, which is they have to have a certain amount of revenue derived inside the United States. I mean, I think it's you build cars in the United States. I don't know this for a fact, but a car company who has manufacturing and employees and employs Americans, if they want to do it through their American subsidiary, I think they can. But we're really into very minute numbers. If Congress wants to answer that with some sort of a remedy, I think there's opportunities, but it's not a wide. I have not seen any, and I mean zero evidence that it's a systemic problem, a widespread problem at all. But I do know that rules in place didn't stop President Clinton and the DNC chairman from violating those federal election rules. I mean, you got to just recall back in the 90s that Bill Clinton sold the Lincoln bedroom. They were doing the teas for, the Riadis and the Lippo Group and all of these different foreign Asian individuals and corporations, and they were violating the laws left and right. It didn't matter. I mean, the rules were on the books, the laws were on the books, and they violated them. You can only get people to follow the rules if they're willing to. I mean, they were looking the other way to get the money.
How concerned are you about legislation, number one, and also judicial legal challenges, number two, to the principles set forth in the Citizens United decision, in essence, chipping away at the decision, if not a wholesale broadside attack on it?
I think that the people who want to do this have their own motives. The Disclose Act 2.0, 3.0, whatever they're doing now, which has failed at every turn, I think will fail again. I think that it's hard for the United States House of Representatives to overturn the United States Supreme Court. They're not going to have very good luck. I think you have an issue where incumbents who want to protect themselves, you have to look at it through that lens, that's what they want. They're trying to create incumbent protection acts, and that's really all the Disclose Act is to try to put fear into the American people from participating in the process, chilling free speech. Chuck Schumer said himself, the rationale for the Disclose Act was to have fewer people participate in the process. He said that right on the steps of the United States Supreme Court after our victory, when they were announcing the Disclose Act. They're honest. They want fewer people to participate in the process, and they want to control the content. They want to be able to control what people say and what people hear. I'm a believer that the American people are incredibly smart. They make good decisions. I don't agree with every single one of them, right? I was hoping they would rectify a mistake they made in 2008 and not vote for Barack Obama again, but they did. I live with that. It's okay. I mean, I didn't support him. He is our president now, again, for 4 more years. They don't have that capacity. I don't understand why the left doesn't understand things happen. You have to move on. Yes, they can be motivated to try to change the law, the rules, the playing field. Do whatever you want. But we won, you lost, get over it.
Well, for conservative groups that have embraced the Citizens United principles and decisions in its entirety, who have spent some of the most amounts of money over the past year or two, what are they going to have to do differently over the next year, going into 2013, in state-level elections, 2014, into the midterms, to be more successful on their end? Because, of course, there were some, and by their own words, colossal failures with some major groups that just simply spent a whole lot of money and got nothing. Get what they want.
That's right, got nothing in return.
What are they going to have to do
but that goes to the point of money doesn't buy elections. Money, your question in and of itself, $300 or $400 million by just one group, on the right, did not buy an election. Just didn't. So I think that, like I said, the American people fundamentally make good decisions. And they make their own decisions. They're not told what to do or what to think. That's the benefit I have, in that I trust the American people as opposed to the left, who doesn't. That's why I think that's a very big point of contention. I trust the American people, the left doesn't. I think that in the future, looking forward, we're going to have no choice but to figure out ways in which they were successful, the left, with their organization, with their outreach, with their grassroots organizations, and really try to mirror what they did, whether it's successfully putting ballot initiatives on the ballots in certain states to drive turnout, which which we have historically done to moderate success, but they really did a good job this past time. Or if it is third-party candidates, or if it's voter registration, really drilling down into certain segments of the population, that their voter turnout was so dramatically higher than before. So we have a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot of work to do. The conservative movement is the benefit of the conservative movement is it's a movement of ideas, and you can rally people around those ideas. It doesn't take long for great ideas to catch on. Look, I believe we had a failed nominee this time, so I don't put a lot of belief into the arguments that the conservative movement has gone or the Republican Party is broken. We lost this election very narrowly in those battleground states, and so I think we need to focus on those battleground states. We need to focus on growing the pie as opposed to trying to carve that pie up differently.
Well, as you well know, most of the money from conservative groups was coming in the form of advertising, messaging, TV ads, radio ads, phone banking. Was that the highest and best use of the money in 2012? And do you think that there's going to have to be, I suppose, a sort of rejiggering of the expenditures that come from these groups? What's your outlook on that issue in particular?
You are clearly seeing that conversation go on, at least I am, from my point of view, in donors that I speak to, in other conservative leaders that I talk to. The consultant class is under assault from our team, from conservative leaders, from donors who are saying, what happened? Where did how was that money best spent that way? And I think that, yes, there's going to have to be a renewed understanding of what is best going forward from the off-year election cycle in 13, which we have governors and state houses up, or in 14 for the midterms, which will lay the groundwork for 2016. So I think that's an ongoing conversation. It's been going on since the moment that Barack Obama was reelected on November 6th. And that conversation will continue to go on as new data, new intelligence comes to light. I think the consultant class recognizes the very fact that it's not just throw it up all on TV and radio is going to work anymore. Social media is so important now, and figuring out how to speak to younger generation through social media is a much bigger element, and that we're going to really have to focus heavily on in the future.
Do you expect national level organizations that have been animated and invigorated by the Citizens United decision to be major players in state level races and gubernatorial?
Well, I certainly hope so. I know we are. I mean, we're actively involved in races right now for 2013. So I'll be disappointed if groups don't come out and participate as at the highest level, so that we can test new technologies, new theories, new grassroots organizations, so that we can, as I said, build those building blocks to the future, so that in 13 we can test and learn. In 2014 we can take what we learned and build upon it, so that we lead up to 2016.
Where are we going to be 3 or 4 years from now when we're having the same conversation over again, looking at the 7th or 8th year anniversary of the Citizens United decision? What is the political landscape going to look like at that point in time relative to where we are today and even where we were 3 years ago?
Well, it's interesting. I think that I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't. Clearly, online and the social media aspect of campaigning, the personalization of online and social media is going to grow exponentially over the coming years. So technologies and messaging and understanding those two things is going to be vital to success on the left or the right. And so I think that's really going to be the biggest unknown. 2008, Twitter and Facebook, had participated a little bit, but they were new. 2012, it was big. 2014, 2016, I think those and whoever the new Facebook is and whoever the new Twitter is will be in the fray. And that's the exciting part of it. I mean, the reason that Citizens United's Supreme Court case came into existence was because of Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11. And we saw the impact that Michael Moore's film had on, and its advertising had on the political landscape in 2004. And so we wanted to have an answer for that from the conservative side of the aisle. Michael Moore's film had a huge cultural import, meaning the stories, that granular grassroots effort that was undertaken, the stories of them seeing it in theaters and people standing around the corner to go see the movie, was before any social media ever existed. Can you possibly imagine the import of that type of cultural revolution if you had in 2004 Facebook or Twitter or any of these abilities to populate at much lower cost with a higher degree? I mean, I really think we don't even know what can happen because we don't know what technologies are going to exist. That's the exciting part.
And while you still have your crystal ball out, what is the next super PAC? What is the next politically active nonprofit? Do you expect that other types of organizations or groups of people are going to somehow band together or be created out of the animating nature of the decision?
Well, let me just say this. Let me say, I hope that from our standpoint, I hope that conservative groups coordinate better. I hope that if there's better coordination and there's no one organization controlling everything, that we will be much better off. I think if there's a bunch of organizations who are robustly trying to succeed and bring forth information and content and through using new media, new technologies, and old, I mean, whether it's mail or phones or door knocking or television ad campaigns, I think that the more we do in a coordinated effort, the better the conservative movement will be and the better our candidates will do. Should
super PACs and outside groups be able to, philosophically speaking, coordinate with candidate committees?
I think that coordination is a tricky thing. If you have it used to be you had an independent expenditure and you couldn't even communicate at all with the candidate or candidates committee. Nowadays you can have then you had the 527s and now you have the super PACs. And super PACs actually can't coordinate messages, but the candidate can tell people to give money to it. I mean, the lines are dramatically shaded. You don't necessarily know what you can and can't do. You really got to be sophisticated. And that's why I say your average person who needs a battery of lawyers and accountants to keep them out of trouble. And that's the barrier that I don't like, because I look at the Disclose Act and I say, they're driving out the mom and pop who wants to sit at a kitchen table and is angry over something or wants to support something, one way or the other, for or against any particular issue. And when they understand the realization sits upon them that you need to not only have money to print the flyers, but you have to have money to fulfill your regulatory obligations. So you have to pay lawyers and accountants to do it, because if you do it yourself and you screw it up, you're going to be penalized in a huge way. And I think that's where I wish that if Congress was going to be taking on anything, that they would would be looking at it through that lens, not the lens of how do we stop ExxonMobil? Because ExxonMobil, they don't care about disclaimer and disclosure because they already have mechanisms in place to do those things.